Aloha guys, you're watching JRTV Hawaii. Today I'm doing a special on the darker side of the masculine and feminine and how it relates to current ongoings in the world. And I'm going to try and feature some of the original structures in Honolulu for you. So let's start off with women. So how do women operate? Women sometimes are not discerning as to who they marry, how that person makes their income, and so on. And they just chase after the money and want to have children as fast as they can. Check out this nice building here. Very clean, timeless lines. Check it out. Triple opening elevator doors. Very elegant. So yeah, some women just don't think of things in terms of, well, how do we save the world? Is it even appropriate to have children at this time? Often I find it's not appropriate to have children, for example, with a guy who's about to go to war and might die or hurt himself. And it's not to say that it's not even, and this is leaning into the aspect of the masculine here, the darker side where you have, check out this building, guys, where you have men, it's gonna be a nice morning. You have men just pursuing money for the sake of money and things. So how do we navigate this? First of all, entering into God consciousness or universal consciousness, where we realize that we are all that is, everything that exists, and therefore we can not be so worried about having to have children right away, not be so worried about having a submissive person, not even marriage. I mean, like, marriage is a luxury, and the darker masculine just pursues this sexual gratification when you can readily, quote unquote, activate that energy by yourself, that sexual second chakra energy. By the way, check out the nice, very nice. And so we need to operate as if there are people suffering in the world, and we are like a universal family. This is like when you believe your pure consciousness, you're no longer worried about if you're attractive or not, if you see things in terms of the genetic collective of humanity and improving ourselves genetically, mentally, and physically. And you're not so worried about, do I have to have my own progeny? There's less of a like possessive element of an objectification of people or situations. Let's check out the art here and then we'll continue down that way. But for example, some of the things that women will do is they women will act sexy, or dress sexy, I should say, but then tease guys and then like get upset or complain if they get the wrong type of attention. And I think it's because women just like attention and energy, and that's okay, except that it leaves you vulnerable to others. And the dark side of women will say, like some feminists will say, oh, it's all, check out this structure here. They'll say, oh, it's all the men's fault for being involved in, paying for a prostitute, when the man is seducing the woman, but equivalently, the woman is actually seducing the man with her body, see? Also, I'd like you to take a quick look at, we have some old structures here. It's nice to see this architecture. It's kind of unique. Well, let's check out this building. This is a magnificent harbor court. So the concern, guys, is like, think about it for a second. Imagine women. Imagine the mindset that you have to be in order to have a child grow in your womb, and to let a child suckle on your breasts. Like, I would be like, go to the refrigerator, kid. Like, you have to be really of a certain view, certain perspective, in order to even do something like that. So I don't want to put too much pressure on women, but I do want to bring these things to light so that they don't destroy our society, because people wanting to have children when other people are suffering, children around the world that could be adopted, when people wanting to have children and they, it's like, hey, thank you, and they are but they don't have a stable marriage, and it's all about making the wife submissive. It's just not healthy. It's not healthy to want somebody just because you're trying to be an authority over them and want them to be like submissive, so that they won't like leave you, or that you want them to not be competent because you want them to have to depend on you like a quote unquote bitch. That's not the way to live, guys. The way to live is to live in equality and thrive, and not situations where you have to. Nice structure here. Not situations where you have to be thinking about all this crazy stuff, and not to mention, like, guys, if their desires lead them to want to, like, it's a luxury to caretake. So this is for men. It's a luxury to caretake, a woman. And in this day and age, I don't think people can afford it. Maybe I'm talking about for myself, right? Sometimes we speak of things that are our own issues of concern, but in this case, I'm just suggesting that that people people need to see these dark sides and how they operate, and how men can be all about just things and objects. Try to put, whenever you try to put it in the context of people, the things that you buy. Like, for example, I like fashion because it's people like showing off to each other their fashions, right? instead of like buying cars, it actually isolates people. You know what I mean? And then the darker side of woman is that they'll objectify people, like they want them, they want the person, they don't want the person to necessarily feel comfortable, or want, like, they want it, they're attached to people, right? Attached. And so the way to become unattached is to let people go, want them to leave their bodies if they're no longer healthy. Like, don't be attached when you're older, or your people you care about are older. If you really cared about them, you'd say, hey, go to your next incarnation, get yourself a fresh body. Through humane suicide, through DMT trip, you can see that you're not this body, out of body, and then you're gone. So it's this non-attachment, and it's just a certain confidence that comes along with being pure consciousness, guys. So let's get to that place and be free. Happy Halloween. Aloha.